Welcome back. We now go to the next item on our agenda, the Israeli Post Service. This week, all hell broke loose for the Israeli Post. Following a severe financial crisis, the management announced its intentions of cutting about 2,000 jobs, which led to a nationwide strike by all workers of the post office. Now, the post service is incurring heavy losses because of the strike. The government wants to privatize the post completely, and no one, including yourself truly, is getting their packages. So what the hell is going on in the Israeli Post Service, and what's to be done with it? With us is Professor Yitzhak Galnur of the Hebrew University in Jerusalem and head of the project on privatization in the Van Leer Institute. Hello, Professor Galnur.
Good morning.
So tell me, what is going on with, how should we take the what's going on right now in the Israeli Post Office, in the Israeli Post Service?
Well, in short, I think it shows government's lack of imagination, most of all.
How so?
The question of communication services has been with us for 20, 30 years. It's not new. We know that technology has changed. We know that there are other ways of communicating, and
plus,
we've
basically
seen changes. Sorry?
Sure. No, what I was going to say, that plus we could see what happens in other countries where basically every postal service is undergoing problems and issue and reorganizations.
Right. And in other countries, we can also see that very much like in Israel, it took a long time to realize that in addition to having national postal services, there are private services, and that's fine. But those private services in other countries, and we are talking about experience in many countries, as a result of privatization, the prices went up, the services went down, the level and the quality, and the periphery usually doesn't get the kind of service that before. So what is needed based on this experience in Israel and in other countries is some kind of combination between national postal services, which would not have a monopoly, would compete with the other
with
services.
Private companies like FedEx and
Exactly, because the private companies are not required like the Israeli postal service to
supply
deliver letters, in the north or in the south or
anywhere where they don't have a profiting business.
Exactly. So the thing is that instead of looking at this experience and learning from this experience, the solution here is very, simplified, just privatize. This is not going to solve the problem at all. And I think that some of the other suggestions that have been proposed, I don't know if you've been following in the last few days, point to a very good direction, that there would be some upgrading of the services, and there would be a requirement of the private competitors also to not to raise the cost and to serve all places around the country. It's a small country, so it's not so difficult.
Sure, but still, we have to take into consideration the fact that the Israeli Postal Service does need a very, very significant, very, very deep reform. Speaking as a person who uses the postal service quite a few times a month, it's unreliable. When I want to send a letter and I want it to actually get to where I'm sending it, I use FedEx or I use DHL or I use UPS. I don't use the Israeli Postal Service. The Israeli Postal Service has deteriorated in the past decade or so, and significantly at that.
Indeed, yes, you're absolutely right, and I also use the services, and I agree 100%. But that's the point. Why did it happen? It was a government department, then it became some kind of
semi-private,
and now it is a government corporation, so which is supposed to be based on a business approach. What happened is that the government has not provided the government corporation, the postal, with the means. First of all, the people who are appointed as directors and so on, and the general manager are political appointments. So instead of upgrading the quality of managers, they just made it a place for the ministers to appoint. And besides, as I said, the privatization is a simplified solution. It has to be a combination
of private and public.
And using the fact that there is this network of branches all over the country, which is a terrific asset, by the way, that could be used also for the postal bank, could be used for insurance and many other things. So I started by saying it's mainly a problem of lack of imagination, how to bring the postal service up to the 21st century and look into more than one simplified solution, such as privatization, which has been tried and hasn't worked very well if there is no competition from, let's say, a public service.
So let's talk about perhaps a possible solution. How do we improve the Israeli Postal Service? How do we make it a reliable service, the one that you and I could actually use?
Well, the first thing is just remove all political appointments. I'm saying this, because I'm sorry to say that, but
it's true.
The problem is not just the workers there. It's so easy to blame them. Yes,
it's usually the management.
It's the management, of course. They don't know how to do it, and they haven't come up with any solution. Yes, the postal service has to be modernized and I assume that there are people who are going to be fired, but that's not the main problem. The main problem is to think about it as an asset with the branches and with the existing trust that many people have in this, because the postal office still the main vehicle for parcels and all kind of services. It has quite an income. It loses money, but the income is quite substantial. So I think that the main thing is, first of all, so we have an asset. Let's make sure that there would be some kind of combination between private and public services. Make sure that the private services also are under the same obligations as the public ones, such as maintaining a certain level of cost, servicing all the places around the country, and competing not only in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, but also in other places. By the way, it's not so difficult to achieve it. It can be done.
Yeah, well, hopefully one day we'll actually have a postal service that I and you and everyone else can use and be content with. Thank you so much, Professor Yitzhak Galnur, for joining us.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.